So, from where I last left off, whatchamacallit, it's been quite a while. And in that regard, I actually decided to fix something that I more or less ignored for 3 years now. So, in case you weren't aware, you probably were, but the PS3 store had announced a long time ago that it was shutting down. And, because of backlash from the people, that has yet to happen, thankfully. But in that case, I hadn't actually taken advantage of the fact that the PS3 store is still around. And considering the fact that the way I acted when the Nintendo Wii U eShop went down and I could no longer play Metroid Zero Mission due to the fact that I wasn't a big Metroid fan until recently. I decided to correct my mistake and actually, end up purchasing something from the PS3 store. So what I ended up doing was I actually first and foremost bought Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, as well as Blaze Blue's Continuum Shift Extend, as sort of like a whatever purchase that I had with some money that was in my pocket. I actually returned that and then put that same money on the PS3 store, and the value I was able to get out of it was staggering in a sense. It was over $700, give or take. Technically, depending on which version of specific games you look at. But I was able to get the Misadventures of Tron Bond for $6.99, Capcom versus SNK 2 for $10.99, and Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus for also $10.99. Each one of these games would have cost me a pretty penny on its own. It would have cost me more than $30 to get all of these games, including, or rather, especially the Misadventures of Tron Bond. That's been a game that's been rare for years. In fact, I remember distinctly once upon a time seeing a YouTuber who bought the Misadventures of Tron Bond for his Mega Man series that he was doing, and he said he paid $150 for it the same week that it actually became available to purchase digitally for $6.99. And you can imagine how he felt when the news broke out about that. But nevertheless, I wanted to make this as sort of like a PSA to anyone who is in a similar situation to me and either felt like they missed out on, the Wii U eShop or the Xbox 360 store. I'm not entirely familiar with what it's called, mostly because most of the Xbox games that I could download, not download, but could purchase, I did. So it going down isn't really a big thing for me. But the Nintendo Wii U eShop was huge because I wasn't exactly, that's an entirely different tangent. The point I'm trying to make is what you need to do, or rather, don't waste the opportunities that you have available to you while the PS3 store is still around, and the PSP and Vita stores as well, because Sony has already threatened to take these stores down 3 years ago. And who's to say that the next one will be averted by an outcry? There is no guarantee of that at all. And considering the fact that, PlayStation has extremely expensive games, especially when we're talking about PS1 games, they can be ludicrously priced in the secondhand market, like Klonoa, which I believe I saw floating around for $450, not $4.50, unfortunately. And it's on the PS3 store, for like $6 if I remember correctly. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but nevertheless, it's the PS3 store has a lot of gems to this day, and I'm sure that you probably, again, saw some of this some time ago. But again, to the person who is like me, who has largely missed out on buying games digitally because they like to buy games physically, I urge you to check out the PS3 store while it's still around. Because you never know. Maybe you're the kind of person who isn't currently into Ratchet and Clank, and somewhere down the line, some odd years from now, you play Ratchet, I don't know, Ratchet whatever on the PS5, and you say, whoa, man, Ratchet and Clank is pretty cool. I wish I could play all the other games that came before it. And you could have. Actually, that also brings me to my next point, and the fact that most of these collection games on the PS3 store is way cheaper than buying it on eBay. The Sly collection physically is like $40. I think it's either $10 or $14 on the PS3 store. The Ratchet and Clank collection hovers somewhere between 30 and 40. Again, that's like $10 on the PS3 store. What was it? The Jack and Daxter collection. That one's not too bad. I think it's again like $10 to $14 on the PS3 store. In the physical version, it's like 20 for whatever reason. That one's like the cheapest, and whatever. How do you say? Do what you will with the information that you find on the PS3 store. But personally, as someone who collects a lot of physical games, in the case of extremely expensive games like Tron, that I was not going to purchase individually unless I was planning on flipping the game, it's a no-brainer, because that is not a game that would have stayed in my collection for any extended periods of time. And I'm extremely grateful that after all these years, I own it. And with also that being said, considering the fact that there's also, potential questions on, could this game be remastered or released on modern hardware? In the case of the Mega Man Legends series, both Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 and Tron Bonne, you actually get them for a fairly decent price, $27 if memory serves. Yeah, 20 bucks between Mega Man's 1 and 2 and 26 plus tax. Actually, we added much more tax than just $1, but nevertheless, for $30 you get the entire Legends collection, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good price considering what all three games are going for, especially on the secondhand market. And so, yeah, once again, I just wanted to bring this to anyone's attention, just in case, they're eventually waiting for something like a PS3 sale or something to happen when the market for the store closes down. Because, games are also getting delisted from the store. I remember earlier in this year, the Tales of titles were delisted. There is one that is available on the PS3 store for both Tales of Graces and Zillia, I believe, but you're paying $59.99 for the both of them. So there is no leeway in terms of pricing. And because of that, you might want to jump in a little sooner than whenever the announcement is. Not trying to cause panic buying, but, just be, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be in a position don't be in a position like I was back in the day, or by back in the day, I mean like a month or so ago, where I now wish that I had bought Metroid Zero Mission when I had the chance. Instead, just if something was there that you're interested in, even casually or casually, just take a look, see what the store has. Worst case, you pay $10, $20 if it's a PS3 game. And if not, then it's way, way, way cheaper than that. So yeah, that was kind of what I wanted to say on that video.